soldiers on the table march in line. Painted shields and swords, they shine so fine. Dice roll like thunder, sealing fate. In this battle of ours, let's not be late. Wargaming in miniature, no war too small. Battles on the tabletop, we'll conquer all. Heroes made of plastic, armies clash and roar. Wargaming in miniature, let's fight some more. Oh. Kings and castles rise where Soda can stood. Mountains made of books, it's a cardboard wood. Strategy of giants on a scale so flee. We topple empires with a cup of tea. Wargaming in miniature, no war too small. Battles on the tabletop, we'll conquer all. Heroes made of plastic, armies clash and roar. Wargaming in miniature, let's fight some more. Battlegrounds in living rooms, legends unfold in the chaos of dice. Our stories are told from the rookies of war to generals wise. The fate of tiny worlds lies in our eyes. Snacks to the side and the glue close by. We men, broken warriors, give them one more try. Cavalry rides beneath the lamp's warm light. On this tiny frontier, we rewrite the fight. Wargaming in miniature, no war too small. Battles on the tabletop, we'll conquer all. Heroes made of plastic, armies clash and roar. Wargaming in miniature, let's fight some more. Oh, let's fight some more. Let's fight some more. No. Tiny soldiers on a grand paper plane, rolling dice to echo cannons refrain. Kingdoms rise within this tabletop dust. In strategy and chaos we place our trust. The generals lean with a calculating stare. Hands of fate guide moves with a flare. Tiny hills climb where valleys fall steep. Battles fought while the house stays asleep. Wargaming dreams on a six-sided star. In this microcosm we travel so far. Heroes die small, but their legends grow large. In this tiny world, we're always in charge. colors so true. Armies clash with a flick of the wrist. Victory's a mark on a checklist kissed. Dice are the drums of this parade of might. The board is the map glowing soft through the night. Imagination ignites where the pieces collide. A universe unfolds we cannot hide. 100 battles fought in one single room. Victories blazing, entropy and gloom. Armies may fade, but spirits don't rest. In the heat of this game, we earners of trust. On a grand paper plane, rolling dice to echo cannon's refrain. Kingdoms rise within this tabletop dust. In strategy and chaos we place our trust. The generals lean with a calculating stare. Hands of fate guide moves with a flare. Tiny hills climb where valleys fall steep. Battles fought while the house stays asleep. Wargaming dreams on a six-sided star. In this microcosm we travel so far. Heroes die small but their legends grow large. In this tiny world we're always in charge. Painted commanders in coats of bold hue patrol the terrain in colors so true. Armies clash with a flick of the wrist. Victory's a mark on a checklist kissed. Dice are the drums of this parade of might. The board is the map glowing soft through the night. Imagination ignites where the pieces collide. A universe unfolds we cannot hide. 100 battles fought in one single room. Victories blazing, entropy and gloom. Armies may fade, but spirits don't rest. In the heat of this game, we earners of trust. On a grand paper.
There we go. Hello again, everybody. This is Derek, and I'm coming back at you with another Wargaming and miniature video. And in this video, if you didn't notice, we featured a new intro song. But in today's video, I've got 3 things scheduled. I know, only 3 things, but they're big things. One of them is I need to rebase these 4 units, right? We're going to rebase them on these bases right here. And on the second thing is I wanted to show off the music. There's 2 songs. There's one that's kind of like a slow, mellow song, and then there's at the very beginning there was a fast, upbeat, a little bit more electric guitar kind of uh, melody. They actually have two different lyrics. You should listen to them both, and then what I'd like to do is maybe put up a a video with just the two songs, and I'll call it song 1 and song 2 because that's actually how I have it listed on my computer. And then in the community tab on my YouTube channel, or maybe on X, probably community tab. In the community tab on YouTube, I'll put a poll to see which one of the songs you liked best. But I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with these two songs. I'm probably going to reach out and see if I can't get a couple more options to see, if I can find one that's better. But these two are actually really good. I had about 10 to choose from, and these are the two that I boiled it down to. Yeah, and then the third thing I want to do is take you across the pond here to my table over there that I've got set up. What I'm going to do is take out my digital camera, and I'm going to take some still photos of different units in different formations. Okay, now before we get started, I got to make sure I've got my fingers protected. These are actually anti-cut sleeves. I put them on my fingers so that I don't accidentally cut myself like I have in the past. These are the two fingers that really need the most protection. Because they're the ones that are up in the business of holding the model while I'm cutting with the X-Acto. I call it an X-Acto, but it's technically an X-Acto handle. I don't even think it's an X-Acto handle. I think it's that other brand. It's made in the USA. There's another brand that's not X-Acto knife. I can't remember what it's called. Because X-Acto is like the biggest one out there, right? But these blades are neither of those. They're actually they're Nick Pro. I knew that. They're Nick Pro blades. You get 120 of them in the pack. There's like all these blades right here. And I've had this for about a year, and I think I've only gone through maybe 20 blades. Because they don't break. The tip breaks off every now and then. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and cover these two fingers, even though they're probably not in danger of getting cut, but mainly because they have band-aids on them. And the only reason why I have any band-aids on right now is because these three fingers, this one, this one, and this one, developed some blisters. And this finger had a Band-Aid last week because I took a knife and I cut across my thumb like this when I did not have the sleeve on. I was like, I'm, what do you call it? Iron Man. I didn't need any protection. Okay, and before we get started, I'm going to get me a drink started here. I hope everybody's doing good this morning. I know I am. Okay, we're not using the Army Painter. Not using these glasses. These are for reading. And these are for modeling. This is my yeah. Okay, which one should we start with? Let's start with the 73rd Regiment. Now these are mounted currently on 20 by 40s, which is what I thought I was going to go with. But I wound up changing the last minute to 30 by 40s and 2 ranks. Now I use white glue almost exclusively to glue figures down. So it's usually not too hard. What I'm doing is I'm digging underneath the metal, between the metal and the wood, and then using the blade itself to kind of pry it up. And also, the texture paste also holds it down. I think I'm going to take my pen and write down the unit that I'm doing so I don't forget. "73rd, and I think it's the foot. They probably have a designation like Cornwall or Essex or whatever it is. But I don't know what it is off the top of my head. And I don't think I wrote it down on any of these. I think I just put 73rd. So that's what I'm going to put on this. I can always come back later and update the base bottoms. Okay, so we got the 73rd written down. And luckily, most of my units are 6 bases of 4. which works out perfectly for my new basing, which is 4 bases of 6. So you're moving less bases on the table, but it is exactly the same number of figures. And it's not a weird number. 6 is kind of a weird number. 6 figures, that is. 6 bases, I mean. You can see how easy it is to cut. And you can also maybe, if you're watching closely, see how easy it would be to cut my thumb. Now I tried a thimble, like a sewing thimble. I even have a couple of them that are, I got a pack of them over there somewhere, where they're bronze. And they're not like a round bowl looking thing. They just cover the bottom of the thumb, and then they've got these 2 little pieces that wrap around so it doesn't fall off. But I found that it doesn't cover enough. That's why I got these, just in case I accidentally cut up here. And plus, I can take these if I have to and throw them in the wash or whatever. They've got a little rubber ring, so don't wash on like a super high temperature where it'll melt the rubber. But if you wash on cold or whatever, everything will be fine. Delicate, or not even delicate, just cold. Oh, no, what did I do with that sergeant? I bent his pike, not realizing he had one. And you got to be careful sometimes when you're cutting your figures off, or at least I've found, when I go to pop them off, sometimes they literally pop off and go flying across the room. I've actually had a couple of them fall into the garbage that I normally keep between my legs when I'm doing stuff like this, to catch the flock and the ballast, sand, or loose wood or whatever that might have come off of the base. Well, I pretty much stopped doing that. I do it over the table. Ever since those figures went popping. And then I had to dig through the garbage to find them. Because once I get all of them popped off, and all of their flock and glue and everything else cleaned off of their figures, I could just sweep off the flock into the garbage. You can see how fast it goes. I did a timed run in one of my videos about a week ago, about how long it takes me to pop the figures, clean the figures, and get them ready to glue onto another base, and then apply the glue and stick them on the glue. It took about 45 minutes from start to finish. Each unit. But the more you do, the faster it goes. And if you're not doing French light infantry, it goes a lot faster. And the reason why I say that is the French light infantry, they have their muskets out and they're leaning way forward, and the bases don't have enough real estate to hold the figure upright. So there's a lot of bending and positioning and trying to get the figure to stand up. And that took a lot of time in that test. I could probably get it down to 30 minutes if I wasn't... Okay, these figures don't want to come off, man. What the hell? Okay. Because I'm also trying not to cut myself like that. Okay, I didn't cut myself, but I could have very easily. And depending on how thick you put your texture paste on there, it dries kind of rubbery. So you got to cut through it to get to the bottom of the base. Wonder why that flag is so shiny. Even the GMB aren't that shiny. I don't know why. I believe it is a GMB flag. I started late using the Fighting 15s. I think I prefer the Fighting 15s over the GMBs. Okay, so now I know this is kind of I don't know what the word is for it, but I'm sliding these off so that I can have a little bit more tactile feel for when because the way I clean most of these is with my thumbnails. I just get in here with my thumbnail and peel the stuff off. But I'm only peeling off excess, not 100%. Like any glue that might have gone over the edge or something. But if it damages the inside, I got to clean that. Okay. Okay, he stands, but What's funny is I can't even see over here because my glasses. These are like super magnifying. I'm looking for my needle nose pliers. I got 2 sets right here. I didn't know I had 2 sets over there. So that's when, if the bottom of the base has been tweaked, I get my needle nose out and I tweak it back so that the guy stands up straight up and down. If you're into role-playing games, still have a couple of spots left in our Pendragon game. If you're interested in role-playing in the time of King Arthur in England, if that's something you're interested in, drop me a message in Roll20 and we'll get you added. We need to do it before the 8th, because that's when our first game starts. Because we'll have to make characters. Or a character. I've noticed that Pendragon is not my traditional role-playing. You know, like in a traditional role-playing game, and maybe it's just my tradition, but in all the role-playing games that I've played in the past, you have a party of adventurers, and the story starts, you know, with them getting together, going on a quest, going from town to town, finding the dragon's cave, or whatever. I'm just coming up with stuff off the fly. Going in, taking care of business, grabbing the treasure, then exiting the cave, returning via town by town, or not. Maybe you don't have any ties with that previous town. Maybe you go back to the closest town. You meet up with the bartender or the local noble or a merchant or somebody that has some other task for you to do, or some rumor or some threat to the kingdom or whatever, and you as a player assume that. and then you go off and take care of it, and then you win, and then you get the treasure, and then it starts all over, and you keep doing it. And there might be an epic where you have a campaign where things all tie in together. But the adventure is one after the other after the other. Maybe a little downtime, possibly, but I've not really seen game masters really use downtime. Not like I did in the Dragon Lords campaign that I streamed. But most game masters don't bother with downtime. They you just go from one adventure to the next, constantly on the move, which for a player, that's pretty good. I mean, that's a good thing because you're leveling up, you're getting treasure, you're building up your wealth and your friendships, and you are still role playing with your party and people that you meet along the way. And that's a traditional role-playing game. And I've kind of found out or believe that Pendragon is not that. Which is scary. As a game master, I have to embrace that it is something different. I could run it that way, but then it wouldn't really be a Pendragon campaign. It would kind of be a traditional fantasy game. And I would like to run it as a Pendragon campaign with traditional elements, with your fantasy, adventure, questing. And that's another thing. Pendragon differentiates a quest versus an adventure, which I thought was kind of a nice twist. But my point is, in Pendragon, you make a character, you're all friends, you form a party. You get sent on an adventure to go kill a dragon in a cave. So far, so good, right? It's all the same. You go from town to town, you meet the people, you learn the lay of the land, you find the cave, you go in, you kill the dragon, get the treasure. Okay, all of that is the same. But now that you've finished your quest, you go back to your castle, your lord, your your king or whatever the situation might be. They thank you, they pat you on the back, and that adventure is over. It's pretty much done. You don't just all of a sudden go into the next adventure. You have an amount of downtime running the castle or working at the castle, doing menial tasks. As a knight, the tasks are probably not that menial. There we go. But yeah, you're training your squire, you're training your horse, you're collecting taxes, or meeting the local ladies to maybe find one that's a suitable marriage partner. Because marriage is a big deal. And then maybe you have kids. And then a whole year passes. And then the players go home. They come back for the next session. And it's a whole new year. And then your king or your duke or your liege lord might have another quest. He might say, I need you to go find this magical pig. Or I need you to settle a dispute between two landowners. You know, it doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but at the time, your liege lord thinks it's a big deal. There's probably no treasure involved. You go do it, and then guess what? Mandatory downtime for a whole year. It's almost like every session is a new year. And if you play weekly, in 52 weeks, you would have gained 52 years. It's not going to be that fast, but it can be that fast. Your character is going to be old. And hopefully your heir is now 18 or more or whatever. And you can take over his character and continue adventuring as your son or daughter. Yeah, that's Pendragon. I think it's going to be a little bit of getting used to. Because I've never really advanced time like that in a campaign. Like just using Dragon Lords as a... It's one of my more recent long-lasting campaigns. I think we played for almost 2 years, maybe a year and a half, something like that. And only once did I advance time by any significant amount of time. It was 5 years. basically everything took place in the matter of like 2 months. A big adventure and a huge quest, an epic tale on the lines of the Odyssey. Took a couple of months of in-game time, but it took like a year of playing, and that's odd, right? Basically, and that was using the Dungeons and Dragons as a rule set. And that's kind of opposite of the way Pendragon works. If we were playing Pendragon, or I should say, maybe not playing Pendragon, but using a Pendragon-like time scale or whatever, that 2-month adventure would have been like 20 years. But that's not how it's written. And then we had a 5-year time jump and played the second half of the adventure. And that only took about another 6 months. Of real time. And in game time, it was only like 1 month. Maybe less. Now, I've watched a lot of streamers play that campaign, Odyssey of the Dragon Lords, or whatever it's called. I can't remember now. I think that's what it's called, Odyssey of the Dragon Lords. They only play, what I've noticed, all these streamers, they only play the first half of the book. And that's really a disservice to the campaign. Yeah, the first half ends in a massive battle. But that massive battle is only supposed to, or I should say, the first half of the campaign is only supposed to get you ready for what's coming in the second half. And if you don't play the second half, then really all that time in the first half is a waste. They put all that effort into the second half of the book, and These guys don't play the second half. It's just silly. But I can understand, if you're playing like a year and a half to get to that big, massive battle, and then it feels like the climax. It really does feel like it, but it's not. And that's what I find funny. Because I watched like 3 channels other than mine play the campaign. Mainly I was watching them to kind of see if I was doing it right, or to see if they had some really cool ideas. And a couple of them had some really good ideas. And yes, I was doing it right. And I thought it was good. And then when they got to the climax, or what they thought was the climax, they get on there and they say, okay, that's the end of the campaign. No, it's not. You haven't even touched on the second half of the book. And the second half of the book is all about the gods. The first half, you think it's about the gods, but it's really about the dragons. And then in the second half, the party has to confront the gods. I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a really good book, campaign. Odyssey of the Dragon Lords. I highly recommend it. Highly. Even though it's D&D 5.0, I still recommend it. It's not written by Wizards of the Coast. That's one reason. So it's not woke. Everything Wizards of the Coast touches, they break. And I mean that by saying that they wokeify it. When I say they woke, basically they constantly have girl bosses. Perfectly fine. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate a good girl boss every now and then. They have gender swaps. They put gays and lesbians. I don't know. It just feels like it's written for mentally dysfunctional players that need validation. That's Wizards of the Coast. This is not Wizards of the Coast. Another thing about Wizards of the Coast that I really don't like, actually 5th edition I thought was a really good rule set. It was just the writing that, of their adventures and writing in the books that made me realize that the company was in league with the devil. Either the company was, or the writers were, or or they were ignorant, like they didn't know that they were, or the company didn't know but they did, or I know I'm giving them an excuse. I'm giving them an excuse to be evil, and that's bad. Oh, excuse me. You know what I should have did? I should have organized these troops before I started gluing them on. But that's okay. We'll make this happen. Um, okay, I got another officer right there. I have another drummer right here. Those guys are probably going to go on a different base. Okay, that guy's going to go right there. Yeah, I should have looked at these guys before I started gluing. 73rd is going to be all jacked up. They're all going to be all discombobulated. Okay, I'm not sure about this guy. Okay. I'm trying to get the lights because I can find them pretty easily. Okay. I'm going to put you up front. I probably should put him in the back, huh? Yeah, I'm going to put him in the back. Slide this guy forward a little bit. Make room for this guy. Maybe I'm not. Okay. This guy's going in the back. This guy's going over one. And then this guy's going right here. Okay. Okay. Again, I'm using the lines on my table to inform my placement of the figures. Okay, that looks good. Okay. Now, do I have any of these guys that are actually grenadiers? They would have a pure white plume. Okay, this is Sergeant. I'm not going to put him with the standard. I'm going to put him in the unit somewhere. Okay, I don't see any grenadiers. Oh, wait. Nope. Okay, maybe I just decided not to paint any grenadiers for this unit. Okay. Which is perfectly fine. I mean, they all look the way they look. Now, if I put this sergeant in the back rank, the pike won't get all bent out of shape. And it won't affect the unit that it might have to attack in hand to hand. Okay, those look good. Now, all these other guys, this guy is a little unusual. He's marching with his hand raised. Oh, he's got a sash. Yeah, he's got stripes. That guy's a sergeant. A sergeant. I think I will put him on this other base. So every base I know I'm very anal when it comes to troop placement on bases and figure poses. I want there to be a variety of figure poses, hand placement. Like these two figures are the same. These figures are not the same. These figures are not the same. Okay, so those are the figure groups. I'm going to put one of these, because there's 3 of them. One of them here. Well, let's just stick with them. One of them here. Set it a front rank and a back rank. And I'll put one here. Looks good. Now there's 3 of these. So I'll put one here. Put one there. And I'll put one here, which is not there. In a different place. All the way on the end. There we go. All right, now there's twos of everything. This guy could go here. And one, two, three, four. Okay. It's going to be a little bit of a doubling up, I guess, huh? Okay, one of each of these poses over here. That way they're not doubled. And then it doesn't really matter about the rest of these. Okay, so they're basically where they need to be. Now I need to adjust them a little bit and press them into the glue. He looks good. He looks good. This one's falling over, so he does not look good. Too far back, his base is like sticking off the edge. These guys look pretty good where they're at. Yep. Okay. We got the king's colors on the far right of the formation. Got the regimental colors on the far left of the base. This officer can probably go forward a little bit. Okay, that looks good. Actually, all that looks good. I just got to press it in. Yep, that looks good. These guys look good. I just got to push the front rank for. Okay, he was leaning forward. He needs to step up and level out. Yep, those guys look good. Okay, I'm gonna put these on here to make sure that they fit. Oh yeah, okay. And then I'll put it over here to double check. That was good. Ooh, these guys are not in position. I can see that already. He's good. This guy's too far over. Too far back. That looks good. Okay, so double check this rifle. And that looks good. Okay. That's 1 unit. Wow. And that took over an hour to do all of that. Okay. So instead of doing these, which would take me probably another 3 hours, we're going to go to the table and I'm going to take some photos. And you can watch. And then we'll come back to this. Okay, let me change my glasses. What I'm going to do is turn the new music back on while I adjust the camera, because I'm going to take this camera and plug it in over there next to my table, and I have to adjust the microphone as well. So enjoy this for about 10 minutes while I go jump over to the other table. Let me see if I got it squared away. Let's take that. Let's deactivate that.
Tiny soldiers on a grand paper plane, rolling dice to echo cannons refrain. Kingdoms rise within this tabletop dust. In strategy and chaos we place our trust. The generals lean with a calculating stare. Hands of fate guide moves with a flare. Tiny hills climb where valleys fall steep. Battles fought while the house stays asleep. Wargaming dreams on a six-sided star. In this microcosm we travel so far. Heroes die small but their legends grow large. In this tiny world we're always in charge. Painted commanders in coats of bold hue patrol the terrain in colors so true. Armies clash with a flick of the wrist. Victory's a mark on a checklist kissed. Dice are the drums of this parade of might. The board is the map glowing soft through the night. Imagination ignites where the pieces collide. A universe unfolds we cannot hide. 100 battles fought in one single room. Victories blazing, entropy and gloom. Armies may fade, but spirits don't rest. In the heat of this game, we earners of trust. Tiny soldiers on a grand paper plane, rolling dice to echo cannon's refrain. Kingdoms rise within this tabletop dust. In strategy and chaos we place our trust. The generals lean with a calculating stare. Hands of fate guide moves with a flare. Tiny hills climb where valleys fall steep. Battles fought while the house stays asleep. Wargaming dreams on a six-sided star. In this microcosm we travel so far. Heroes die small, but their legends grow large. In this tiny world we're always in charge. Painted commanders in coats of bold hue patrol the terrain in colors so true. Armies clash with a flick of the wrist. Victory's a mark on a checklist kissed. Dice are the drums of this parade of might. The board is the map glowing soft through the night. Imagination ignites where the pieces collide. A universe unfolds we cannot hide. 100 battles fought in one single room. Victories blazing, entropy and gloom. Armies may fade, but spirits don't.
All right, there it goes. All right, we're back, hopefully. And the camera's in a reasonable place. It's out of the way. It's not really what I'm focusing on. What I'm focusing on is these figures. Now I think I want to bring a studio light. Maybe bring it a little closer, get some light on the subject. Probably not. I'm probably okay just like this. Okay, so what I'm planning on doing here is taking photos of units in various formations, and then I will take those photos and I'm going to add them into my rule book to show different formations that can be formed with these figures. And you'll notice that all of these figures that I put out there now have my new basing style, the basing style that I'm going to go with. So if you're watching, which if I'm talking to you, you're probably watching, you will see all these figures over here. Those are all in the old basing style. But I've got a whole bunch of figures already rebased. All of last week, I was able to do 4 or more units every day. And if I'm able to do 4 or more units a day, it won't take me that long to get all the units rebased. But the problem is there's still a bunch of units that I haven't painted yet. So we need to get that. Now, in my Napoleonics games, we're going to be using the same type of, what do you call it? Area terrain, the same type of town sectors and stuff like that. But instead of 15 millimeter buildings, I'm going to be using 10 millimeter buildings, 10 to 12 actually. A bunch of N scale is 12 millimeter, and that works really good. And these 10 millimeter buildings that I bought from Battle Scale are very close, if not identical, to the 12 mil N scale buildings that I've got. So we'll be using those. And they don't look out of proportion when it comes. I mean, they are out of proportion. When you look at the door and you look at the guys here, their heads are above the upper of the door sill. But it looks really good next to Cav, or next to the infantry. It looks good. And the real estate of the building is a little bit smaller than a 15 millimeter building, because just hypothetically, I mean, this is actually smaller than that. This would be a 15 millimeter building, and this is a 10 millimeter building. And this is supposed to be bigger. I mean, they're both 2 stories, but you can see the difference in height, right? I don't know if you can. If you can't, then it's good, right? But yeah, there's a difference in height when it comes to these buildings, chimney-wise. And then if you look at the doors, they're much, much different. The thickness of the building. See, and putting this on a base like that works perfectly fine. Don't get me wrong. It would work outstandingly. But if I wanted to put a unit on the stand with the building, then this would be too big. If I'm using these size units, which I am. And some of the 15 millimeter buildings are like, well, this is an American War of Independence building, but it's kind of gigantic. So I even have this church, a European church, up here somewhere. I don't know where it is. I've never painted it. I'm kind of trying to find it. Oh, it's right here. This is a European church, 15 millimeter. It's a beautiful building, but you can see how much bigger it is and how much more real estate it would require on the table. And I think it would be okay for units like the American War of Independence. I think that would be fine. But these are Napoleonic units, which are going to be a lot larger, because my American War of Independence units are about this big, and that represents about 300 men. Where these units are that big, and they represent 600 men. So, like 125 or 120 or so on each of these stands. And so, which basically makes the ground scale half the size of the AWI. But that's okay. That's a topic of another story. Right now I'm just trying to take some photos using my Canon here. Canon, no, my Canon, what is this thing called? This is the R800. The R800 takes really good photos. I'm very pleased with it. Okay, how do I want to start? Well, I want to start by showing off generals. I pulled out a little bit of everything so that I could show off the formations. I need to put a 3-gun battery out here. So I'm going to grab another gun somewhere. There's another gun. Because I wanted to show small, medium, and large. When it comes to artillery, it's important. Cavalry and infantry, the infantry, it's important. Okay, but here's the generals. This is a brigade commander. It's actually Campy. This is Bashelu, which is a division general. Brigade, division. And then I've got Riley here, which is a corps commander. I think he's 2nd Corps. Doesn't say it on there. Campy, brigade. Bashelu, division. Riley, corps. And then this is Ney, which would be like your army commander or your wing commander, depending on how big the battle is. But if you're familiar with military, what is it called? Symbology. This would be 1x, this would be 2x, this would be 3x, and this would be 4x on the symbology, right? It would show like an infantry unit, which is like a rectangle with an X. That's infantry. And then 1X above it is a brigade. And that's what this is. 1 figure, 1X. 2 figures, 2 X's. Okay. That's just something to think about. And they also are in different sizes, which when I go to put it in the rules, I'll explain that. But this looks like it's about a 25 millimeter. It might be 30. I don't remember my own rules. $30 millimeters. 30, 40, 50, and 60, if I remember right. Yep, that's 60. So 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, let's get my camera out. Yep, just looking at it like that, I can tell I need lighting. Okay, so we're going to adjust the lighting. Just bear with me. I have a light here that I use when I paint. I need the lighting not to be so stark. Bring it back a little bit. Let's angle it up a little bit. There we go. see what it looks like now. See, I want to take a picture with just the generals in it. And then what I'm going to do is put subtitles in the picture saying, you know, like brigade commander, or division commander, corps commander, etc., etc. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to take an angled shot here where the figures go from one corner to the other. That looks good. Okay, so we got generals. We'll get them out of the way. Okay, we're going to use 1 battalion. And we're going to start with a line. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this angle is much better, like being behind the light. Okay, so that represents a line. And this would represent an attack column or a column. Want them to see that it's multiple bases deep. Push that out of the way just temporarily. And if it was 6 bases, like a large battalion, attack columns are going to be like this. 2 wide and the rest deep. Okay, we're going to retake it. from the front. Yeah, I'm angling it towards the light because taking a side shot, everything's in shadow. Believe it or not. And I'm going to give two pictures, you know, from the side and then from the front. That's the plan. Now, I'm going to mark this as incorrect. Like, I'm going to put it up on the thing. I'm going to say this is not an attack column. This is a non-legal formation. There we go. Okay. So that unit. So we showed line, we showed column, what's good and what's not. Bring this unit back out. We're going to show a march column. I think I want to put it on the road. Mainly because you know how march columns are. And I think the lighting is still dark. Okay. I've got to really trying not to go directly at the figures. I want to kind of give it diffused. If I had a diffused cover, I would, but actually I do. I've got these studio lights that are out in the garage somewhere. Okay, a march column. Boop. Oh, this looks better. Much better. Boop. Okay. Okay, so we did column, we did line, we did march column. Now, I have to do that again with artillery, but we'll get to that. Square. Okay. You have one. Okay, this needs to be taken from above to really get the look. A square. Come on. There we go. Okay, now what if you had a large unit that needed to form square? That's not a legal formation. But we already know. We already know that. Okay. 2 in the front. No, wait. Hold on. I'm trying to remember how I wanted to do this. Okay. I think this is it. But it could very easily be this. Yeah, that's more deep than wide. Okay, now I'm brainstorming right now. Like, which way do I want my square to be? Some people say just take a second rank and turn it around. But I think I like the square like that. I think the measurements work out the same. Maybe not. Let's do some measurements. 40, 80, 110. Okay, that's 110 by 70. Okay, 70 by 110. And then if I did it like this, it's 80 by 3, 6, 10. That's 80 by 100, or 70 by 110. This is closer to a square. Yep. So maybe we do it like this. It's the same thing, it's just measured differently. Yep, that's the way it's going to be. That is an official 6-base square. Because it's 80 by 100. We're taking a picture from above. And the way these have their muskets sticking way out, it shouldn't be too hard to figure it out. And from below, maybe from over on this side. Here we go. Okay, so we got large. Okay, a little coughing spout. Let me get something to drink. Okay, so let me think about this. Line, attack column, march column, square. Those are the only formations. Okay, now this is considered a tiny unit. You'll see 6 figures, but I put them on 2 bases. Now here's my thought process, just so everyone can know before I start taking photos. This is a standard, normal sized unit. You know, somewhere between 400 and 700 men, somewhere in that neighborhood. And then this one over here is large. That would represent over 700 men. Maybe 1,000 men or whatever. That's a big unit, right? So that's a large, that's a standard. Now my small units are going to be 2 bases. Okay, that's a small unit. And small units can form lines. So let's do a 2-figure or 2-base line is legit. That's a legit formation. A 2-base march column is also legit. I'm going to put it on the road. But a 2-base attack column is going to be considered not a valid formation. Okay, that basically represents a march column, not an attack column. An attack column requires a 2-base minimum width, and then all the other bases behind those two, that frontage of 2. Now a 2-base unit can form a square, and I would just do it like that. Okay, I'm zoomed in too much. There we go. Just so it would have, there we go, better lighting. Okay, so a small unit can form every formation minus an attack column, because there's not enough men to impact or make a difference when it comes to attack columns. There's not enough weight behind it. Okay. So, let me get back. 4 stands, the medium. 6 stands is a large. 2 stands is a small. But you'll notice there's 12 figures there. A tiny halves it even more, down to 6 figures. But the 6 figures are placed on 2 bases. Okay. Now the reason because of that is because tiny units are always considered in skirmish. So they're always taking up twice as much real estate because they're spread out. So It's still the same number of figures as a single base, 6 figures, but instead of just as an alternative, you can use a single base and say it's a skirmish formation, or you can actually place 2 bases to represent the skirmish formation. So it'll actually take up twice as much real estate. Hopefully all that made sense. And again, 2 base units can only form line or march column. They can't form anything else. I should have considered the musket placement. Yeah, they don't form square at all. But they can march. We'll give them that. Okay. The reason why I brought out all these units, I thought I was going to put take a picture of command and control of where the brigades and where the division commanders and all that. But I'm not going to do that today because I still have to think about that a little bit. But formations, I don't have a problem with. So, a 2-gun battery is your standard battery, and a single limber represents the entire battery. This would be a normal battery. If it was a small battery, like a half battery, it would still have a limber, but it would only be 1 gun. And if it was a large battery, it would be 3 guns, but it would still have a limber, 1 limber. Okay, and this is all in firing mode. Now in march column, or limbered, I would turn all the guns around and attach them to the back side of the limber to represent limbered. Okay. Okay. And that's the only 2 formations they can be in. They can be unlimbered or limbered. They can't do square. They can't do attack columns. Not a thing. Okay. I'm kind of talking myself through it so I can remember which photos I need to take. Now, cavalry is a little bit different. Cavalry form line just like everyone else. And cavalry I might have to pull another couple of bases out. Cavalry don't form attack columns. This is a legal formation for cavalry. They don't form attack columns like this, like the infantry. They form double line. So that's a legal formation. This is, whoa, this is an illegal formation. And if it is a normal, yeah, that's the first chasseurs. This is the sixth. If they're in this formation, it's considered a double line, not an attack column. Even though it looks exactly like an attack column. I'm going to take a picture of this just for completeness, but it's basically the same. March columns. Cavalry can form march column. No square. Only infantry form square. Okay. So I think I got my photos. Attack column. Double line for cav. Skirmisher formations. Squares. Attack columns. Yeah, we're good. All right. Give me a second while I put the camera and everything back over to the table, and we'll continue doing the rebasing. All right. I'm just checking. Yep, the camera's still working. Okay, cool. So maybe what I did the last time actually fixed it. All right, so I'm going to have to shut everything off, move the camera, and turn it all back on. Hey, Brian. I will be back in less than 5 minutes. Let's go to the Rio. Let's deactivate that.
Tiny soldiers on a grand paper plane, rolling dice to echo cannon's refrain. Kingdoms rise within this tabletop dust. place our trust. The generals leaned with a calculating stare. Hands of fate, guide moves with a flare. Tiny hills climb where valleys fall steep. Battles fought while the house stays asleep. Wargaming dreams on a six-sided star. In this microcosm, we travel so far. Heroes die small, but their legends grow large. In this tiny world, we're always in charge. Painted commanders in coats of bold hue patrol the terrain in colors so true. Armies clash with a flick of the wrist. Victory's a mark on a checklist kissed. Dice are the drums of this parade of might. The board is the map glowing soft through the night. Imagination ignites where the pieces collide. A universe unfolds we cannot hide. 100 battles fought in one single room. Victories blazing, entropy and gloom. Armies may fade, but spirits don't rest. In the heat of this game, we earners of trust. Tiny soldiers on a grand paper plane, rolling dice to echo cannon's refrain. Kingdoms rise within this tabletop dust. In strategy and chaos we place our trust. The generals lean with a calculating stare. Hands of fate, guide moves with a flare. Tiny hills climb where valleys fall steep. Battles fought while the house stays asleep. Wargaming dreams on a six-sided star. In this
There we go. Now we're back. Got the camera working, mic's working, everything's good. Okay. So now let me get back to doing my basing. My rebasing. Okay, I'm anticipating only getting one more of these done before I break for lunch. Because it took me about 45 minutes to an hour to do the first one. All right. Got my light back. Okay, I'm going to put my protective sleeves on my fingers before I start chopping away. So I don't cut myself. Okay. Now, which of these units do I want to do? I think I want to do the 95th Rifles. First to the 95th. And putting them, the standard unit, 4 bases, that we just discussed. First, 95th. Rifleless. Rifless. Okay, I'm going to try a different marker. I feel like that one is starting to lose its luster. What? Boy, this is even worse. Never mind. First of the night. I might have to get some new markers. I guess those are the only 3 that I've got. That's a pen. I don't want a pen. Okay, I'll go back to the one I was using. What are these, Sharpie pens? Extra fine or something? It doesn't say. First, 95th. Rifless. First, 95th. Rifleless. Also the first of the 95th Sharps rifles. Okay. I did that. I marked them so that I won't forget, even though I definitely won't forget anyway, because of their green uniforms. Okay. So the first things we do is cut them off their base. Now these guys don't have any flags. Okay, I'm struggling to get underneath the base. Now I know you guys come here for the witty banter, but I don't really have anything witty to say. But I can talk about some TV and upcoming movies. I don't know if you guys are watching Daredevil or not. The new season just concluded. Episode 9, I think it was 9. The season was kind of lackluster for me, to be honest. It was okay. Which is way better than being bad. Way better. I think it was okay. I wouldn't say, and I might even go as far as to say it was good. But it wasn't great. It was way better than Echo. Way better than Hawkeye. Loki was actually probably one of my favorites. WandaVision, I would put that as probably my least. No, I'm not going to say it's my least favorite. Echo is my least favorite. But WandaVision was maybe my second. No. WandaVision was actually okay. Agatha all along. I didn't even get through the first episode. At least in Echo, I watched like one episode. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I thought that was really good. Actually, I thought it was really, really good. But not great. None of their TV series. Oh, She-Hulk. I forgot about that one. That was another one that was okay. I actually enjoyed She-Hulk. I watched the entire series. I know some people say that it was horrible, it's woke and all that. I didn't really see that. I thought it was trying to be a little bit like Deadpool. She's trying to be too funny, and she's trying to break the fourth wall. Talking directly at the camera and all that. But as a story, I thought it was okay. Everybody's got their opinion. Now, I only watched the first season of What If. And I understand that there's a second and a third season. And those are probably really good. But I just haven't had the desire to watch them. And I even watched the Groot TV series. It's basically a bunch of short stories. But who doesn't like a little Groot? And there's one, I guess it's made for TV movie, which was the vampire and werewolf one, filmed in black and white and all that. I never watched it. I didn't even know it existed until I saw somebody reacting to it. So I saw it through the lens of somebody else watching it. And then there was all the Coulson short stories, which I thought were a waste of time. And I find it hard to believe that there's people out there that haven't actually watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Agent Carter. I figured if they were into the MCU and into Marvel, they would have jumped on those. I did. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was outstanding. That was an outstanding TV series. They brought, spoiler, they brought Coulson back to life. So he could technically show up in the MCU. I think. I think they have the rights to all that. Whoops. They had some kind of alien resurrection machine. Okay, I learned my lesson from doing the 73rd. Let's organize these miniatures as I clean them. Okay, what I'm cleaning is mostly texture paste. That's no longer attached to the base. Okay, this guy's got a red sash. So he's an NCO of some kind, along with this guy I believe is an officer, because he's wearing the dolman of a hussar. You know, we'll call this guy Sharp. So what was Sharp's, Sharp's rifles. What was his rank at Waterloo? Was he a colonel by then? Or was he a major? I think it was a colonel by Waterloo. But what I wanted to get into, what I wanted to talk about was upcoming movies. I've really thought about starting a reaction, not a channel. I wouldn't make it a separate channel, but I would start doing. I'm thinking about doing reactions. Okay, this guy is an officer without a dolman. Like maybe a secondary officer. Because there's no standard, I might put both buglers, both officers, and the NCO on one of the bases. Just to really... Okay, there's 2 NCOs. Okay. Just to really pack that base full of command. But in all my other units, I like putting the NCOs out in the other bases. But, you know, what can you do? There is some argument. I'm not going to say discussion. There's some argument about how to utilize the 95th Rifles in a war game. Like as skirmishers or as a battalion. Now I think at Waterloo and Quatre Bras, they fought as a battalion. Now the 95th was all by itself in the woods across from Bachelou. So Bachelou's entire division was across the river from the 95th Rifles. And if they didn't hold them off as long as they did, you know, basically a fighting withdrawal through the woods, if they didn't do that, the Hanoverians would not have been able to get into any kind of fighting position to hold them off. That could be a whole war game all in its own. You know, if you wanted to have a smaller battle. You could have just the 95th and the Hanoverians against Bachelou. I say Bachelou, but it's probably Baclio. The CH is probably a K. Back Pacello or something like that. I'm probably mispronouncing it. I do that with names. I didn't know that a chimera was a chimera until I was like in my 30s. I always called it a chimera. And nobody corrected me. Okay, now this base has some wood still glued to the bottom of the base. I'll have to get that off. Using my Mark 1 thumbnail. Mark 1 glue remover. This is the Mark II. These guys all can stand up. These guys are not your French light. These guys all have a nice sized base. Their center of balance is over the base and not in front of it. Okay, so the movies, right? We got some movies coming out this year. Quite a few of them that I'm excited about. We got the Thunderbolts. We have the Fantastic Four. We have Superman. And then next year we got Supergirl. Doomsday. Nope, let me back up. Spider-Man 4. Then Doomsday. And then following that, we got Something After Doomsday. Secret Wars. Now, I read the 80s Secret War and not the 90s or the 2000s or whatever it was. There was two Marvel series that I really loved. One of them was the Civil War between law and justice. Or law and, let me rephrase that, law or freedom. Yeah, and in the Civil War series, you had U.S. Agent. You had Captain America get shot and killed on the steps of a courthouse or something like that. He was going to testify, and then somebody shot him in the back of the head. I think it was U.S. Agent, actually. I don't remember, but it was one of my favorite comic series. And following that, it was the Secret Wars. War World and all. They basically, the Beyonder or somebody, I don't remember, I think it was the Beyonder, grabbed all the heroes and all the villains and dropped them on this homemade world and made them fight each other. And if I remember right, Dr. Doom was in charge of all the villains, basically de facto leader. Basically, he took over. And I think Captain America led the heroes. Remember, I read these in the 80s, so it was a long time ago. I'm having a hard time remembering all the details. But I do remember those were my favorite comic books. And they both ran for about a year. At least 12 issues each. And I was also a reader of the X-Men. Not as much as the Avengers. I read all the Avengers. You know, the Avengers West Coast, the Avengers, the ones in the UK, I think they were called X-Force or something like that. And They had Captain Britain in him. And when we see Agent Carter, with the shield, the uniform or the costume is actually Captain Britain, but he had powers. He did not have a shield. So they kind of mixed that up a little bit because everybody loves Agent Carter, that actress. And I'm disappointed that they're not going to bring the Black Knight in. The guy that plays Jon Snow during the Immortals. He had the sword. I would have loved to have seen the Black Knight. And Thanos' brother or cousin or whatever, Star Fox. I would have loved to have seen that too. But they didn't really expand upon those. And I think they dropped the idea, like they're not going to bother with those. A Black Knight origin movie would have been really good with Jon Snow and all that. A magical sword. I don't think it's Excalibur. I think it's a sword of power. The sword Uther had and the one he stuck in the stone was not Excalibur. That was the sword of power. And that would be really cool if they ran with that. And so let's go down the line. Thunderbolts. I'll watch it. I'll enjoy it. I'll have a good time. But I don't really care about it. I'm not invested in that storyline at all. But I do like a little underdog, second stringers, a bunch of Robins going at it. What do they call that? Teen Titans. That's what the Thunderbolts kind of remind me of. They're Marvel's version of the Teen Titans. A bunch of B stringers. But it'd be fun. It'll be fun to watch and all that. but it just doesn't get my juices flowing. And now after that, you'll have Fantastic Four, which my understanding is the Fantastic Four is the reboot of Marvel. But if they keep what they've been doing for the last 5 years or whatever it's been, then it's not technically a reboot. If they continue to do more of the same woke nonsense, what bothers me, and it shouldn't bother me, but it does. I've read all these comics when I was a teenager and a young adult. I read them up until my 30s, probably. And I got to know and love these characters like Captain America or Iron Man or the Hulk or whoever that I enjoyed. I liked the Iron Fist. I thought he was one of my favorite characters. My all-time favorite character is Captain America, but a close second was Nova. Nova was my close second. And they were going to do a Nova movie. It's on the timeline. But are they? I don't know. They might have scrapped it. Okay, none of these guys have a bayonet that sticks out so far that I need to concern myself with putting them in the front rank. Okay, there's some kneeling guys. There's some standing guys. These are the guys shooting. There's some trailing guys. Yeah, he's a trailing guy. What I mean by that is he's holding the front of his musket or his rifle and letting the buttstock drag the ground. Okay, there's a guy crouching. I could probably do a little bit of a kink to get him to, yeah. Maybe not. What did I do? Went too far? No, okay. Looks like there's only one guy hunched over. But he could easily be close to looking like those two. And he's the only other guy with his musket pointed downward in a run. Looks like he's running and reloading at the same time. Okay. Wait a second. That guy's shooting as well. Okay. The rest of these all have their muskets up. There's a lot of them with their muskets up. There must be some pose differences. Yeah, this guy's different. Those four are all the same. Okay. Nice. So that's what I did not do with the 73rd, that regiment. I just started putting figures on bases. Okay, we're using tacky glue. Now, if you watch the video I just uploaded today, was different glues that I used for basing. I did a test run with all of them to see which ones dried faster and which ones had more grip strength. Because I was curious, inquiring minds wanted to know. And I had actually filmed that video like a week ago. And I was going through my videos, I was deleting videos off my computer, and I came across that one and I was like, wait a second, did I even upload this? And then I looked on my YouTube channel, I said, oh no, I haven't uploaded it. So I went ahead and uploaded it. So you got to see it today. So if you're curious, spoiler alert, tacky glue dries much faster than the rest. Okay, I don't know how I want to do this. He's not the officer. He is. He's got the dolman. I'm going to give this guy a bugler. And I'm going to give this guy a bugler. Here we go, that works. Okay, both of those are almost identical NCOs. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to put one NCO over here. And one NCO over here. If you noticed, I did not put all of the command figures on one base. I decided against it. I said to myself, self, don't do that. Okay. So those two front ranks are totally taken. We're going to do a kneeling rifle, pushing it forward a little bit. Okay. Do a kneeling rifle, pushing forward a little bit. And I think I'm going to do another kneeling rifle. Well, I have to. I got 3. Okay. I have 4 standing shooting. Not putting them on these bases. I've already made that decision. Okay, that guy's head was tilted. I had to straighten his head. If you're kneeling, I'm going to put a guy shooting behind you. Okay. There's 4 of these guys, so there's one going to go on every base. One on the right. One in the middle. One on the left. And one in the front rank. Yeah, once I get them placed, then I can move them around with my tweezers and press them down into the glue. Okay, that's good. I'm going to put this guy on the front rank, mainly because he's got this giant base. Okay, a guy in trailing right there. Guy in trailing right here. That looks good. This guy leaning and running. I think he would look good right here. Oh, his sword. Okay, it's all right. Okay, we'll get in there and start fudging things around. Okay, this guy's shooting. Yep, he'll go right here, shooting. This might be why this guy isn't hunched over. Okay, I got this turned around. That's why it's confusing me. Okay, now let's organize this. I think this one looks good. I don't know. Oh, maybe not. It was overhanging the back of the base. Yeah, that looks good. What about this guy? He looks good too. But I'm going to pull that forward just a little bit to give this guy more room to straighten his ass out. That looks good. These guys look good, but he's too far back. Not too far front. Okay. I like putting the officers kind of slightly forward of the rest of the troops. Makes him look like he's leading from the front. Go to the right just a little bit. Tighten up the formation. Okay, he looks good. Last but not least, pull the officer to the front. Pull the bugler up just a tad. All right. Well, maybe you can go up just a little bit. Oh, looks good. All right. So we got the 95th. And it is now 12 o'clock, which means I've been on here for 3 hours. So what we'll do now is I will end the stream and I will eat me some lunch. And I'll probably get these after lunch. Off camera. And we'll go to flock. And, well, texture. And then flock. And then I'll be done for rebasing. And one of the reasons why, this is kind of not a good reason, but it is a reason. I will be out of war bases. I have is it in there? No. Is it in here? No. Here? Yes. Okay. I have a bajillion. This comes with 100 count. I've already used some, but there's probably at least 60 bases in here, at least. That's 15 units, at least, in this bag. The problem with this is it's a 1.6 millimeter. And I've noticed that 1.6 millimeter is really thin. You know, kind of like this base. It's really thin. It's okay, but ever since I discovered War Base's 2 millimeter, I can't get enough of it. 2 millimeter is perfect because there's enough sidewall that I could paint with colors to simulate or to identify units. So I could leave the sides, or I could paint the sides. All these sides are like a really dark brown, and I've been thinking I could just leave this color because it burns, right? The laser. I could just leave that dark brown because it's actually a really good color for an edge. But the back side of the base, I would color in such a way. Now, I've been thinking about this. I haven't colored any of my rebased figures yet. I could color code them, like put a color on the side that tells me what division they're on or from. And then maybe a color that says what brigade they're in. And then a color for what battalion they are. So, just hypothetically, the 73rd has green facings, so I might do I think they're part of Picton's division, 5th division, I think. So I could go with Picton's division. I could put like a black, and then the brigade, maybe they're part of Kilmansegg or somebody. I could put like a red, and then on the end I could put green because that's their facing, or some other color. And then you can just look at the back, and everything would be color coded. So all the guys with red on them, on their left, all the ones, let me back up, all the ones with black would be in one division, and then all the guys with the red in the middle would be from one of the brigades, and then every battalion will have their own color. So you could, yeah, I think I'm going to do something like that. I don't know how I'm going to break down the colors or what I'm going to do with that, or how I'm going to do it. But I think I'm going to wait till they're all rebased. And I'm trying to avoid using the 1.5 millimeter thick bases and stay with the 2 millimeter thick bases. And I ordered more war bases, like 150 more, which, to be honest, isn't going to be enough, because I use this exact same bases for my American War of Independence. So, Land of the Free and Marshals and Generals are all going to use the same basing. I still have the Guard Cavalry. I haven't painted a lick of Guard Cavalry. I still got to do that. And I really look forward to doing Polish Lancers and the Cuirassier. I really look forward to doing all those guys. Kellerman has the 11th Division with him, and their Cuirassier and maybe Lancers. I don't think they're Lancers. I think they're Cuirassier and Dragoons. Yeah, I think they're Dragoons. I'll look forward to doing those guys. And then I also look forward to doing the Polish Lancers and the Dutch Lancers, the Mamelukes, or whoever. There's not a whole lot of Mamelukes. There's like maybe one figure should be a Mameluke if I wanted to do it that way. But I plan to do one of my units like this as a Dutch Lancer, the blue jackets, and then another unit like that with red jackets. So it'll be the Dutch and the Polish. I'm looking forward to those. But I got like 6 packs, and I think the packs come with like 24 bases in them. I ordered those about a week ago, so they're probably not going to be here for another 2 weeks. And if that's the case, there's going to be a lot of non-rebasing going on. Now, I've considered, and this is something that I might do, bust figures off their bases and store them, maybe put them all in like a baggie, so I can keep all the battalions separated off their bases, so that when I do get the bases in, I could just pull a baggie out and go glue, 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 because they're already painted and they're already ready to go. I might do that. I might do some debasing and not rebasing, because that way I can get ready for these new bases. Plus, I've been thinking about actually painting some units. I've got quite a bit of British to paint and very little French to paint. I think like the Hanover Militia, the Landwehr, I haven't painted any of those. And the Belgians. I have like 1 Belgian unit and 3 Dutch militias. I got those to paint. I got all the Brunswickers good to go. I got, Nassau. There's 2 battalions in Nassau I still need to paint. The ones with the blue jackets and not the green jackets. What are they called? They're the 28th Nassau. It's about even, actually. Thinking about it, it's about even. I have no Allied cavalry that needs to be painted, and I have a lot of French cavalry that needs to be painted. I might just do that. I might just do cuirassier and dragoons, which I will need to go through my bags of units and make sure that I have the right number of figures in each bag, because I had bagged them originally for an older way I was going to base them. But now I'm going to base them this new way, so there needs to be, 12 figures? Is that right? Yeah, because there's 3, 6, 12 figures for a cavalry unit. Which I think there probably already was. But I'll double check. Alright guys, well I'm going to let you go. I'll probably do that after lunch actually. I won't do any rebasting. I'll probably rebag some French cav. I'll probably clean them up, put them on popsicle sticks, and get them ready to start painting them. Also, don't forget, I have an eBay store. You should go check it out. I've got a lot of figures for sale there. And I have a nice sale going on. If you spend $30 or more, which is pretty much, you get 2 items, you spent $30. Maybe 3 items. But if you spend $30 or more, you'll get 30% off. 30% off your entire order. Not just one item. It's not just like a buy one, get the second one 30% off. It's the whole order would be 30% off. Let me give you a little anecdote. I had a guy contact me about my skeletons that I've got on there. I've got 8 units of 5 figures. So basically 40 models. Already painted, already based, everything's good to go. And they're $24.99 is how I have them listed per unit, right? And he said, how much for all of them? And I said, well, I'll get back to you. So what I did was I just added them all together, which came out to just under $200. And then I deducted 30% off of that, and it wound up being $140, right? 139 and change or whatever it was. I think that's a steal. He's getting 40, count them, 40 miniatures for painted for 140. That's just awesome. But he hasn't replied yet. It's only been a couple of days. I don't know if that's acceptable or not. Plus, he wants a commission done. I don't know what he wants a commission done for. It could be more skeletons, because I have a pack of skeletal. I got revenants and I've got skeleton chariots. So I don't know what he wants. Plus, he might already have his own skeletons. I told him to look at in the description of my eBay, not my eBay, in the description of my YouTube videos, because I have a price guide for all my commissions. So if you're interested in a commission, like if you've got an army of World War II SS 15 millimeter, like 100 models or something, contact me. I would be glad to paint those for you. If you've got a bunch of tanks you need built and painted, I will do that for you. Just let me know. I'd be glad to do it. I know there's people out there that have a wall of shame, like myself. Like I've got a whole bunch of trays over here full of miniatures that need to be painted. And you just don't have enough time in the day to do it. But I will do it for you. I will make time to paint for you. I will put my own painting on hold to do painting for you. Because that's what I do for a living. I charge you to do that. So you're employing me. So other than that, look forward to a video coming out maybe today, maybe tomorrow, where I'm going to put a couple of songs on there, and then I want people to vote on which ones they think is a better song for me to put on my videos. I still need to, I only have 2 out of the first patch of 10. I only have 2 that I liked. So I think I'm going to try again and see if I can get another batch of 10 and maybe get something that's even better. We'll see. I really like the 2 songs that I've got playing, but I've got issues with them a little bit too. I want the perfect song, right? So, okay, I'm going to let you guys go. Sorry, I've been here forever. Go back and watch the beginning of the video if you're interested in all the other things that I've been doing. And I will catch you in the next one. I don't know when it's going to be, but I will catch you. Also, at midnight or so, check out my Skyrim playthrough. All right, sorry, I keep dragging it out.